Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everything you thought defined you, your beliefs, your routines, your sense of self, no longer fits. It's as if the ground beneath you has vanished, leaving you suspended in a space of uncertainty and raw intensity. Your emotions feel like tidal waves crashing over you with no warning, and every familiar structure you relied upon seems to crumble in slow motion. This is the moment when inner growth begins, and it feels terrifying because your psyche is being stretched beyond the limits of comfort. Carl Jung called this encounter the confrontation with your shadow, the hidden, suppressed parts of your mind you've spent years avoiding. And while it feels like collapse, it is not destruction. It is the birth of transformation. The truth is, growth always demands a form of breaking. Just as a diamond forms under pressure and a seed must shatter its shell to sprout, your mind must fracture before it can expand. When the old frameworks of identity break down, it feels like chaos. But chaos is the language of the soul preparing to rise. Every fear, every panic, every uncomfortable thought is a signal that your inner world is awakening. You are being forced to face the rawest version of yourself, stripped of illusions, stripped of pretense, stripped of anything that no longer serves your evolution. And that, paradoxically, is where freedom begins. You might feel lost. You might feel like you're spiraling, like the weight of your own thoughts is too much to bear. But let me tell you this. The very collapse you fear is the proof that you are stretching towards something greater. The pain is not a warning to retreat. It is a sign that you are moving into uncharted territory, into a zone of radical self-discovery and empowerment. Every uncomfortable emotion is a teacher. Every tear a doorway, every moment of doubt a signal that something inside you is being transformed. When you can reframe this chaos as growth, the fear loses its power. The storm inside becomes a signal, a guide, a compass pointing toward a more authentic, resilient, and enlightened self. Most people run from this moment. They numb it, distract themselves, or cling desperately to the old identities that no longer serve them. But growth does not wait. It does not negotiate. It does not care about comfort or familiarity. The inner collapse demands attention, presence, and courage. It asks you to meet yourself fully, without judgment, without shame, without excuses. This is the crucible where your true character is forged. And while it feels like psychological collapse, it is actually psychological resurrection. The key is to lean into the discomfort, not away from it, to allow yourself to feel, to question, to confront the fears and insecurities that have been buried for too long. Every shadow you meet, every uncomfortable truth you face, is a piece of power reclaimed. Your mind is clearing the debris to make room for clarity, creativity, and purpose. And the moment you recognize this, the terror transforms into exhilaration. You realize that you are not breaking, you are breaking through. So when the storm comes, do not resist it. Do not try to escape it. Do not shrink from the intensity of the emotions, the questions, the doubts. Welcome them as allies. They are your guides, your mentors, your heralds of a new self. The very pain you fear is the doorway to your truest potential. Every shiver of uncertainty, every pang of fear, every shadow that rises to confront you is a step closer to the life you were meant to lead, the life that exists beyond limitation, beyond fear, beyond old definitions of yourself. This is your awakening. This is the moment where the old self dissolves and the new self demands to emerge. It will feel raw, it will feel heavy, and it will feel like collapse. But in truth, it is the most exhilarating, liberating, and transformative experience you will ever encounter. Because when you survive this storm, you do not merely return to the person you were. You rise as someone stronger, wiser, more authentic, and unstoppable. And that is the promise hidden within the chaos. That is the gift waiting on the other side of fear. Step forward, lean in, and embrace it. The collapse you fear is the very thing that will make you whole. You might wonder why it feels like the world inside you is unraveling, why the beliefs you once held so firmly now seem fragile, why every familiar routine feels hollow, why the person you thought you were no longer fits. The answer is simple yet profound. Growth demands it. True transformation doesn't arrive wrapped in comfort and certainty. It comes wrapped in challenge, in chaos, in moments that feel like psychological collapse. Carl Jung called this the process of individuation, the journey of becoming whole by facing every hidden, suppressed, and unacknowledged part of yourself. It is uncomfortable because it requires confrontation with your own inner truth, and your inner truth often frightens you more than anything in the outside world. The mind resists change. Your ego clings to identity as if it were survival itself, and when that identity begins to crack, it triggers a storm inside you. Anxiety rises, self-doubt whispers, fear threatens to paralyze. But this is no accident. This is the natural, necessary friction between who you have been and who you are becoming. Growth does not sneak in quietly. It shatters illusions, exposes weaknesses, and illuminates truths you may have avoided for decades. The collapse you feel is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are stretching beyond old boundaries. Every trembling thought, every pang of uncertainty, every emotional surge is proof that your mind is expanding, your heart is evolving, and your soul is preparing for a level of consciousness you have not yet known. Imagine the seed. It lies beneath the soil, invisible, seemingly inert, and yet, inside that seed, pressure builds. It cannot remain contained. It cracks open, breaking its shell, shattering its old form. The surrounding soil may feel dark, cold, and confining, yet the break is necessary. Without it, the seed would never grow. The same principle applies to your mind and spirit. Every moment of psychological chaos, every fracture in your sense of self, is the soil prepper. Ring you for growth. The collapse is not destruction, it is transformation in action. What you are experiencing is the shedding of old frameworks, the beliefs, the habits, the self-concepts that no longer serve you. When the familiar falls away, it triggers discomfort because the mind hates uncertainty. Yet, this is precisely why it is the most fertile ground for growth. It is in these moments that you are invited to question everything: your values, your desires, your fears, your relationships. This is not a punishment. This is the universe offering you a chance to rebuild yourself from the inside out, stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true purpose. And here is the most electrifying truth: the collapse you fear is actually a signal of progress. Most people avoid it. Most people numb it. Most people cling desperately to old identities because it feels safe. But safety does not create greatness. Comfort does not create transformation. Real change demands courage. The courage to lean into discomfort. The courage to witness your own mind without flinching. The courage to face your shadows without shame. Each wave of anxiety, each pang of fear, each surge of doubt is a signal that the universe is handing you the raw materials for your next self. The storm inside is not your enemy. It is your mentor, your guide, your indicator that you are being stretched into something extraordinary. You have to see it this way. Every crisis of the mind is a catalyst for evolution. Every breakdown is a breakthrough waiting to happen. The turbulence you feel is a necessary prelude to clarity. Every sleepless night, every restless moment, every question that keeps you awake is a spark lighting the path forward. Growth is never linear, and the collapse you feel is simply the bridge between the old version of yourself and the person you are destined to become. So do not shrink from it. Do not resist it. Do not mistake this moment for failure or weakness. Embrace it. Feel it. Analyze it. Let it teach you. Every thought, every fear, every shadow is a signal pointing to the parts of you that have been neglected, denied, or suppressed. Confront them with courage. Observe them with curiosity. Integrate them with love. The discomfort is temporary, but the transformation is permanent. When you understand why collapse happens, when you recognize it as the natural, necessary, and even beautiful process of growth, fear loses its power. The storm becomes a teacher. The chaos becomes a roadmap. The confusion becomes a compass pointing you toward clarity, resilience, and greatness. You are not breaking. You are evolving. You are not lost. You are awakening. Every crack in your old self is a doorway into a version of you that is stronger, wiser, more authentic, and unstoppable. So take a deep breath, lean into the discomfort, and recognize the truth. The collapse you feel is proof that you are alive, expanding, and moving toward a higher self. This is not the end of your journey. It is the ignition of it. The breakdown is your breakthrough. And the moment you embrace it fully, you step into a life that is not defined by fear, limitation, or the expectations of the past, but by clarity, power, and the boundless potential of who you are truly meant to be. The moment of true growth comes when you stop running from yourself. The moment of transformation is when you stop pretending that the uncomfortable, the messy, the hidden parts of you do not exist. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the part of you that contains everything you've denied, suppressed, or been too afraid to face. It is your anger, your envy, your fears, your unspoken desires, and the fragments of your psyche that you have hidden from even yourself. And here is the undeniable truth. You cannot grow beyond yourself until you meet this shadow head-on. Avoidance only prolongs the pain. Resistance only strengthens the fear. Confrontation is the doorway. Courage is the key. Shadow work is not easy. It is uncomfortable. It is raw. It requires honesty, brutal honesty. Every time you look into the parts of yourself you've ignored, every time you see your flaws without justification, every time why. Acknowledge your deepest fears and insecurities, it feels like a battle with your own mind. And that is exactly why it is so powerful. Growth, real, irreversible growth, never comes from comfort. It comes from the fierce, unwavering courage to face what you have long avoided. When you stare into your shadow, you are no longer a victim of it. You reclaim the power that has always been yours. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with rocks. Some rocks are old wounds. Some are regrets. Some are beliefs that weigh you down. For years you've carried them silently, dragging them behind you through life, barely noticing how heavy the load has become. Shadow work is the moment you stop. You open the backpack, you examine each rock, you face it, acknowledge it, and then decide, does this belong in my path forward, or is it time to let it go? This is the power of conscious confrontation. Each rock you examine, each fear you face, each truth you accept chips away at the weight, freeing you to move faster, stronger, and with greater clarity. The process is as practical as it is profound. Start by noticing the moments that trigger intense emotion: anger, jealousy, shame, fear. Instead of running from these moments, ask yourself, what is this showing me about myself? What am I avoiding? What part of me is seeking acknowledgement? Then respond with self-compassion, not judgment. Shadow work is not about self-criticism. It is about self-reclamation. Every thought, feeling, and impulse that rises from your shadow is a message, a teacher, a guide toward wholeness. When you learn to listen without fear, without shame, without resistance, you begin to integrate. You begin to reclaim the parts of yourself that have been lost, scattered, or denied. And here's the electrifying truth. The shadow is not the enemy. The shadow is potential. The shadow is the raw material of greatness waiting to be molded. Every trait you fear in yourself, every impulse you suppress, every emotion you deny, contains energy. Energy that, when acknowledged, understood, and integrated, propels you into a higher state of self. The darkness you fear is not there to destroy you. It is there to awaken you. It is there to guide you into a version of yourself you have not yet imagined, but that has always existed within you, waiting for courage to call it forth. Shadow work transforms fear into strength. It transforms confusion into clarity. It transforms self-doubt into unstoppable confidence. And here is the key. You do not need to eliminate your shadow. You do not need to be perfect. Integration, the true goal, is about harmony, about alignment, about reclaiming your full self. When you embrace your shadow, you gain something no one else can take from you. Authentic power. The power to act with courage, clarity, and uncompromising purpose. Every step into shadow work is a step into freedom. Every truth faced, every fear acknowledged, every suppressed emotion owned, is a brick laid in the foundation of a stronger, more resilient, more authentic self. And the more you confront, the more you integrate, the more unstoppable you become. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger, wiser, and unshakable in the face of anything. So lean into it. Do not shy away from the discomfort. Do not rationalize it or run from it. The shadows you fear are not there to punish you. They are there to empower you. The parts of yourself you have hidden are the very keys to your evolution. Confront them. Understand them. Integrate them. Every confrontation is a victory. Every acknowledgement is a breakthrough. Every embrace of your shadow is a step toward becoming the most authentic, fearless, and unstoppable version of yourself. The world outside may never see the battles you fight within, but those battles define you. They forge you. They elevate you. And when you finally meet your shadow, when you finally face the parts of yourself you have long avoided, you will realize this is not suffering. This is not chaos. This is your awakening. This is your liberation. This is your power. After you have faced your shadow, after you have walked through the storm of your fears, doubts, and insecurities, comes the moment of integration, the moment when the fragments of your psyche are no longer scattered, but become a unified, unstoppable force. This is the phase where chaos transforms into clarity, where pain transforms into power, and where every broken piece of your past becomes a building block for your future. Integration is not merely a concept, it is the living, breathing experience of becoming whole, of stepping fully into your truest, most authentic self. Imagine shattered glass lying on the floor. Alone, each fragment is sharp, jagged, and dangerous. But when you carefully collect the pieces, polish them, and fit them together, they form a mosaic of extraordinary beauty. a pattern that reflects light in ways that nothing whole ever could. Your struggles, your shadows, your moments of despair, they are the shards. Integration is the act of gathering them, of understanding them, of connecting them into a coherent, powerful whole. And the moment this happens, something remarkable occurs. You become stronger than you were before, wiser than you thought possible, and more alive than you ever imagined. The process of integration requires presence, intentionality, and relentless honesty. You must recognize that every part of you, the anger, the guilt, the fear, the desire, the doubt, is not your enemy. These are not obstacles to overcome. These are teachers guiding you to align your inner world with your outer actions. Every time you respond to your shadow with awareness instead of avoidance, every time you turn your pain into insight, every time you choose understanding over judgment, you strengthen the neural pathways of resilience, courage, and self-mastery. You transform raw chaos into deliberate action, confusion into clarity, and fear into fuel. And here is the most electrifying truth. Integration is freedom. Freedom from self-doubt. Freedom from the tyranny of the mind's endless questioning. Freedom from the invisible chains of old trauma, regret, and limitation. When you integrate, you no longer fight against yourself. You no longer hide. You no longer shrink in the face of adversity. Instead, you step forward fully armed with the wisdom of your experience, the strength of your trials, and the clarity of your self-awareness. The collapse that once terrified you is now a foundation. The storm that once threatened to destroy you is now a source of unstoppable momentum. Integration also transforms your relationships, your work, and your entire life. When you are whole within, you cannot be shaken by the chaos outside. You no longer project your fears onto others or allow external circumstances to dictate your sense of self. You operate from a place of authenticity, alignment, and unshakable power. Every decision becomes sharper, every connection deeper, every challenge an opportunity to demonstrate the strength of your integrated self. You radiate confidence not because you have avoided struggle, but because you have transformed struggle into mastery. The key to integration is practice. Daily reflection, mindfulness, journaling, or meditation are not optional. They are the tools that allow you to consistently weave together the lessons from your shadows, your growth, and your insights. The act of looking inward, observing your thoughts and reactions, and consciously aligning your actions with your highest self is the ongoing process that solidifies transformation. Each day becomes a step toward greater clarity, each moment a chance to reinforce the power you have reclaimed. And never forget this: the chaos you once feared is now your ally. The shadows you once resisted are now your guides. Every crack, every fracture, every moment of pain has contributed to the mosaic of your power. You have taken what once seemed like collapse and turned it into a launch pad for greatness. The self you are becoming is stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable than the self you once were. You are no longer defined by fear, limitation, or the past. You are defined by courage, mastery, and the audacity to rise fully into your potential. So step forward boldly, own your growth, embrace the totality of yourself, the light, the dark, the broken, and the whole. Let integration be your superpower, your secret weapon, and your undeniable proof that you can face any challenge, conquer any fear, and rise from any collapse more powerful than ever before. The transformation is not coming. It has already begun. And when you fully integrate, you will not only survive, you will thrive. Unstoppable, unshakable, and unbreakable. Now, everything you've faced, everything you've confronted, everything you've dared to feel and acknowledge brings you to this moment, the moment of rising. This is the point where the collapse that once terrified you becomes your foundation, where every fear, every shadow, every doubt transforms into fuel, and where the person you are becoming stands taller, stronger, and more unstoppable than ever before. The truth is, the world does not hand out greatness, it demands it, and your collapse was never a punishment. It was a challenge, a test, a calling, and now you are ready to answer. Rising from the collapse means stepping fully into your power, unshakable and unrelenting. You no longer allow external chaos to define your inner state. You no longer shrink when life's storms roar, because you have discovered the fire within you, a fire forged in struggle, honed in shadow, and strengthened through transformation. The storms you survived have tempered you into something extraordinary, something rare, something unstoppable. Every battle you fought within, every tear, every sleepless night, every pang of fear has been laying the groundwork for this exact moment. And now, there is no turning back. You may feel the echoes of doubt still whispering, the lingering shadows of fear still flickering at the edges of your mind. That is normal. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting despite it. The integrated, awakened self does not wait for certainty or perfection. It acts. It steps forward boldly. It embraces discomfort as a teacher and challenge as a stepping stone. Each small decision to move forward, to face a challenge, to push beyond the familiar, is another victory, another brick in the foundation of the unstoppable life you are building. Here is the electrifying truth. The collapse you feared, the psychological chaos you survived, and the shadows you faced are now your allies. They are proof of your strength, your resilience, and your capacity for transformation. No longer are they sources of anxiety. They are symbols of power. Every time life tests you, every time doubt rises, every time the pressure intensifies, you now meet it with clarity, confidence, and control. You have walked through fire and emerged not only unscathed, but magnified, more brilliant, more capable, and more alive than ever. Now is the time to act, to stop merely surviving and start thriving, to move from reaction to mastery, to turn lessons into legacy, commit to daily growth, commit to embracing discomfort as a path, not a punishment. Each day you rise with intention. Each challenge you meet with courage. Each fear you confront with resolve. You are building momentum that cannot be stopped. This is not just motivation. It is transformation in motion, unstoppable and irreversible. You are not the same person who trembled at the first sight of the storm. You are not the same person who once ran from the shadows. You are the one who stared into darkness and reclaimed your power. You are the one who faced fear and made it a weapon. You are the one who turned collapse into launchpad. And this is why the world must pay attention. Because the energy you now carry is contagious. It radiates. It inspires. It elevates. You do not just rise for yourself. You rise for every possibility, every opportunity, every person who dares to be. Believe in the power of transformation. So step forward boldly. Refuse to be defined by what has fallen apart. Refuse to be constrained by the past. Refuse to let fear dictate your life. The collapse is behind you. The integration is within you, and the unstoppable force of your fully awakened self is ahead of you. Own it. Walk in it. Live in it. Make every action a declaration that you are no longer a victim of circumstance, no longer a prisoner of limitation, no longer defined by fear. You are limitless, unshakable, and unstoppable. Remember this: every fracture in your past is a doorway to your future. Every fear you faced is a testament to your courage. Every shadow you embraced is a beacon of your power. The collapse you feared is the very moment that launched your ascent. Now rise. Rise with audacity. Rise with clarity. Rise with purpose. Step into your life fully, fiercely, and without hesitation, and show the world what it looks like when a person refuses to be broken and chooses instead to be invincible.